Hey, what's up? Welcome to Module 8, Creative Storytelling. It's really windy right now at North Ave Beach, so I hope that this audio sounds pretty good. I'm standing while I'm delivering this one to you. There's a lot of examples in this, so you don't have to look at my dumb face in front of the skyline this whole time, but it is a pretty cool shot, isn't it? Creative storytelling, let's get into this. Let's talk about it. So there are directors and filmmakers that do inspire me. I do not consider myself any kind of filmmaking connoisseur or anybody that is well versed in cinema at all. But there are a few people that really do inspire me when it comes to the craft of telling stories. First being Damien Chazelle, director of Whiplash and La La Land, La La Land being one of my favorite films ever. Wes Anderson, with all of his creativity, all of the people he works with, composition, color, set design, all that amazing stuff. Casey Neistat, the YouTuber that did vlogs for like 600 days in a row based out of New York City. Incredible YouTube channel, which sadly isn't really happening anymore. Shelby Church, another YouTuber that does a lot of income and passive income, and that kind of content, how to make money online. Watching current video trends, different things that pop up on Instagram and TikTok and IG Reels and all of the trendy places. Jesse Schrader, my friend in Chicago, who is a director of photography, who knows way more about cinema than I do, who is that person that I was talking about earlier, who is very well versed in directors and movies and knowing what's best and how to set a scene and light a scene and all that good stuff. Josh Helton, my friend, he has a company called A Little Long Distance. I don't know why I'm breaking all these down, because I'm about to break all of them down further. And then finally, Henry Wu, who owns a company called H. Wu Studios in Chicago. So let me just break down why some of these people are influential to me, because I think when we're talking about creative storytelling, we have to be inspired by people that are doing the thing, that motivate us to do more with what we do. So let's start off with Damien Chazelle with La La Land. La La Land was shot on film, and it was incredibly colorful. Dynamic range was amazing. They used anamorphic lenses, and while I didn't really have that at my disposal, a lot of the films I shot in 2020 were very reminiscent of this film color-wise, like getting that vibrancy of saturation and all of that crazy cool stuff, and even some of the film emulation that I did at the beginning of Dana and Yahya's film. So very similarly to La La Land, I kind of had some of those, like, even like the, if you've seen La La Land, that recall scene towards the end, where they're a family, and it's all like shot on what looks to be Super 8 or Super 16. Is it called Super 16? 16 mil? Yeah, shows you how much I know about that. Very reminiscent of that. So I'm just gonna play that now for you so you can kind of see some of that inspiration.
I was born there, a country without
Born
borders,
halfway
a
across
land
the
where you
world,
are
I
not
dreamed
you,
of that
and
a distant
home
echo,
is
an
not
anchor
home.
across the ocean.
Like the sun to the earth, I stand facing you today to give you light and a reason to rise. We are of the same soil, a soil that grows olive trees, figs, and cactus trees. I was born there, a country without borders, a land where you are not you, and home is not home.
Born halfway across the world, I dreamed of that soil. I dreamed of you, a distant echo, an anchor across the ocean.
But the earth's heart is greater than its maps. I flew to you. Even in exile, there is hope that sunlight finds its way through the smallest cracks.
Even in exile, there is the divine promise that what is meant for you will reach you even if it's beneath a mountain. I'm reminded of that in finding you. In a lunar year, you took me to the kindest part of my heart. Everything I lost came back to me in waves. In your presence, I see my country.
I see my country.
I see my ancestors.
I see my ancestors.
I see my children.
I see my children. For that I take you to reside in and care for my soul.
For that I am with you, and for that I am for you.
In this life and the afterlife, I vow to love you, to always see you.
I vow to love you, to always see you,
And I'm staying.
and to stay until the end.
Next up, Wes Anderson. This was a huge influence on the opening scene I did in this Yosemite film when I wanted to capture them packing for the trip. Very centered, very quick cuts, using sound design, the zipping of the luggage and the pouring of the tea or coffee. I can't remember which it was. So yeah, that was very much influenced by like Moonrise Kingdom, Royal Tenenbaums, that kind of aesthetic. And so go ahead and check and see what that was like.
I, Tyler, take you, Elizabeth, to be my wife.
I, Elizabeth, take you, Tyler, to be my husband.
Promise to be faithful to you.
In good times and in bad.
And in sickness and in health.
And to love you and honor you.
All the days of my life.
Next up, Casey Neistat. I really was influenced at this time, 2017, using a drone for transitional pieces. So Casey did a phenomenal job. He always talked about his vlogs being a 3-act story. And in this story, he would transition from place to place, from location to location with a drone shot or a time lapse or traveling on his boosted board throughout the city. He was very good at bringing people from one place to another. So I really took that to heart after that Wes Anderson start in the Yosemite film. I then used some drone footage and footage I got of an airplane at the airport to make this transitional piece of, hey, we're going out to Yosemite. I even made the plane go from right to left on the screen to communicate going from Chicago out to California because it was going east to west. And then the opening shot of just outside of Yosemite Park, since you can't technically fly in a national park, just outside of it, all the evergreens like flying in and introducing you like, hey, this is the park, right into a time lapse of the sun setting over Half Dome and the sun rising over Half Dome from Glacier Point. Shelby Church has been someone that has really opened my eyes to like the transparency and income and passive income that she's done in her videos has helped me as a YouTuber communicate to more creative people. And that's not necessarily creative storytelling, but what I love about watching her videos is that they are planned so well. She's so good at, you can tell that she's script writing like crazy when she produces her videos. And while I don't script write usually or storyboard for wedding films, I tend to just shoot. This is something I want to start incorporating more when I have new opportunities to do cool things. Like I'm about to talk to a couple that wants to have me film their wedding in Maine next year. And it feels very much like a couple that's like Mark and Molly, which you'll see here soon, like with a cabin up in the woods and that kind of vibe. They're getting married on a lake that's really, really important to the groom, like where he grew up. So there's a lot of those opportunities. And so I want to be really intentional with script writing in that sense. And I get a lot of inspiration from people like from Shelby Church to do things like that. So I don't know who I got this from, but I had this idea in my head of doing this handheld shot between Max and Michelle. I think long before in my notes I had this idea, and I've done it before. I did it in Kaylee and Josiah's film back in like 2018, where I had this first person perspective of them looking at each other's faces and like touching each other's faces. Or Josiah reached out to like touch her face, and I had him like come up under my camera and actually put his hand out to grab her face. And then I cut to a wide where they were together. Very similarly, I wanted a shot like this for Max and Michelle, where she was looking back at him, reaching out for his hand, and you're seeing the perspective of each of them seeing each other, and then it cuts to a wide where you get context of them seeing each other and holding hands like that. And so, like I said, I don't know exactly where that came from. It was probably from a trend on Instagram, like, you know, those Instagram shots where like the girl's reaching back for like the guy's hand or whatever, you know, like yeah, that thing. I was like, oh, how can I make this cinematic and actually like super interesting and not just like a cheesy Instagram post? Jesse was really the one that inspired me to start using an easy rig. I really didn't even know what that was until he started using one. And it's that backpack looking thing with the huge crane over the top and the string. A lot of people think that it's the same thing as a stabilizer or a gimbal. It is technically a stabilizer, but it stabilizes in a completely different way. More than anything, it relieves you of a lot of weight from a cinema rig, which I'm carrying around with the C200, but it kind of gives like this floaty documentary style feel, which is super interesting. And the first time I ever used it to any large capacity was on Mark and Molly's film in that upstate New York wedding, where I got that documentary feel, kind of the shaky, floaty vibes. So I wanted to share that whole film with you now to kind of see how that's different than stuff I shot before that was really smooth and locked off on a monopod and on a gimbal and like perfectly stabilized. And yeah, this is when I started to introduce more of that kind of raw feel.
When my skin is done, or my sickness fills the air, in my silent final prayer, my crease, and your broken bones are fears. No matter the years, my heart is yours. And I know I'll break down, and I know you will crumble. And part of me's unending here, it's safe.
Molly, you are my best friend. You are a natural presence of kindness, light, hope, and home in my life. There are so many things that I want to say to you now, but as I write this, I'm struck by the fact that perhaps the best part of marrying you today is that we will now have a lifetime to edit, to add, and to resubmit these words to each other. Day after day, year after year.
So we're back to where we started. Slow dancing in the garden, underneath the stars, just hoping in our hearts maybe we'll get it right this time.
You, Mark William, are a healing touch to my mind and heart. I see myself through your eyes and feel whole and beautiful, the way God sees me.
You've seen my successes and my failures, and you've been by my side. I'm told that at its core, that's what marriage is. To see and love still the ugly, broken bits of a person, and to walk forward with them into the mystery of the future.
Hit it out of focus. You're falling for a moment. Take note of the unnoticed. Let go of the motive. Stop and smell the roses.
You look so good.
This is amazing.
Some semblance of hope, or at least something to hold on to.
There's no one else with whom I'd rather live this crazy, full life that God has blessed us with. I vow to always do my best, to do my best with whatever I have on a given day, emotionally and energetically, for you and for our future family, if God has that in store for us.
I promise to serve you and offer support as you pursue your dreams and as we identify ours together. I promise, as you have taught me, to pursue balance in life, remembering that our relationship and our faith is in itself our security. These things extend beyond circumstance, and we have what we need.
I vow to always be your co-host, your co-pilot, your wingwoman, your plus one. I vow to do my best to be present to you in our relationship and always make you a priority.
I will be your partner in adventure and your accomplice in mischief. All these things
All these things
with all my heart.
with all my heart. I
promised you.
Josh Helton has always been such an inspiration for me. I met him at my best friend's wedding, where I was the best man. He was shooting Super 8 film, and his wife was doing photo. And ever since then we kept up and became industry pals. And he's become like one of the titans of the wedding filmmaking industry because he uses a ton of home video. He gets assets from his clients, like all their home footage from when they were kids, and he incorporates all this insane stuff that just makes it so interesting to the viewer and so emotional. And hopefully I can get some of his stuff on the screen for you here so you can kind of see what that vibe is like. And we are going to be talking with him at the end of this course, which is going to be super exciting and fun. I'm excited to have you hear from him. But I took that to heart in Christina and Nick's wedding. After I shot their wedding, I felt like something was missing. I felt like I needed to introduce more of Chicago because they got married near where they grew up, but they lived in Chicago at that time. And I was like, this is really important to your life, and we don't have any of this in the film. So I also wanted a bit more audio of her reading her note to her dad because I accidentally missed that. She didn't tell me that that was happening on the wedding day. I just caught like the last 10 minutes of it, 10 seconds of it. And so I had her redo that audio, just had a lapel mic that I brought over to their apartment. She redid the audio, and then I used that in the film. But in the process, I filmed them in their apartment. I filmed all of the different things, like all of the photos in their apartment and the little, like picture frames on the wall and the train going by with them on the balcony. But in that time, she told me like, hey, this is actually the apartment where he proposed. And I was like, oh, I heard that story before, but I didn't know it was this apartment. She's like, yeah, I'll send you the YouTube video. Our Nest cam or security camera or whatever captured it all. So she sent me that YouTube video, and then I ripped it off of YouTube and I put it right at the beginning of the film, which is so cool and so fun. I don't think I ever really would have thought of doing something like that because it was like, it's 720p, it's low quality, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care. It means something. It is really influential in the emotion and being able to tell the story better. And so I wanted to include that. And I actually included some of that at the end of the film as well.
So where do I start? The moment I saw you walk into Algebra 1 with those pearly white Jordans, I knew that one day you'd be my wife.
story didn't start like a fairy tale or have that one defining moment. Nearly half of our lives together has defined our love, one that feels infinite. Time and experiences have shaped us. We've changed, but at the same time, nothing's changed because we're blessed to have a love rooted in friendship that never quits and never skips a beat. I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you. Let's do it. Yeah. You know me to be measured, reserved, sometimes skeptical, but I've never been more sure of anything. I'm so blessed to be marrying you.
To my cool dad, my supporter, my stubborn mule, I can never thank you enough for always making sure I have whatever I need, or in many cases, making sure I have whatever I want. You give endlessly to your family, and I am proud to be your daughter. Thank you for raising me to be a hardworking, strong-willed woman, and for reminding me to always be happy and to keep a PMA, even though I totally thought you made that acronym up. I love our song, how fitting the lyrics are, and that you picked it. How wonderful life is while you are in the world. I am so happy you are here, fighting to be the best that you can be. I am so incredibly proud of you, more than you'll ever know. It is now my turn to be your supporter, and I'll always be cheering you on. Love you always, your Chrissy Bell, your Christina Ann. I cannot believe I get to spend the rest of my life with someone who loves me like you do. In a typical me fashion, I want to promise you the world, but that's unrealistic. I promised you once and I'll promise you again. I'll love you and honor you for all the days of my life.
Because every day with you, good, bad, ugly, it's shaped the person I've become, and that person that I've become is your person.
Henry Wu, my man in Chicago, HWU Studios, he introduced me to Constant Lights. I was second shooting for him, and it was the first time I'd ever seen these Lowell Pro halogen bulb Constant Lights, which I talked about in the gear section. It totally blew my mind. I was like, oh man, I don't have to shoot in these dark receptions anymore. Like, I can control the lighting. It changed the game for me when I decided to invest in these things. And I started to become more creative with it as well. Like in Lauren and Stevie's film here on their dance floor when they were doing their formal dances, I busted out the tilt shift lens to make it even more interesting, and then lit the dance floor with 180-degree lighting and got some of this imagery. These Constant Lights are insane for your ability to change and shape a scene with lighting and make a dark room very interesting. Backlight subjects, side light, end of the night, blasting out of a door. There's all sorts of things you can do with them as long as you have access to an outlet or you buy a battery to power them. There are plenty of LED lights that are comparable, but I really like the halogen bulb ones just because of the way they flare and their warmth and all that stuff. So also in Dana and Yahya's film, that you saw some of already. Yeah, Dana actually reached out to me and said that she'd be super interested in getting that Super 8 kind of look at the beginning of their wedding film. And I just ran with that. I think that was one conversation we had, and since she had said that, I figured, okay, that's all the confirmation I need to run in this creative direction. So whenever anybody says something like that to you, don't feel like you need to revisit it, because if that's already a creative idea that they had and you know could work to really enhance the film. That was similar to storyboarding, because she mentioned that, and I was like, okay, well, I want this whole sequence in the morning while you guys are hanging out, having breakfast, going on the boat ride. I want this all to feel like a French film on the countryside where you're riding your motorcycle and you're eating breakfast and you're going on a boat ride, and there's this wonderful music playing in the background with horns and stuff. Like, I never would use music like that if it wasn't for inspiration like this. The truth is, creativity isn't your own. It's smashed together from a bunch of different places that inspire you. So once you come to that realization that you aren't really responsible for coming up with all of these ideas, it's just you compiling all these different places of inspiration and copying in some sense and making it your own and smashing multiple ideas together to create your own creative voice, it becomes way less daunting to do something creatively, because all you have to do is watch and learn from other people who are doing things, and then you can make something that's unique to yourself, because at the end of the day, those people were inspired by other people who did something creative, and they're copying off other people as well. And generally speaking, a lot of my creativity stems from a place of spontaneity. Like I might in the moment just be like, oh, this composition is great, or oh, I'm going to use this light in this way, or oh, we're going to go to that location because it's sick, or whatever. And that happens with creative people. We do that. That's great. But I've learned how to rein in some of that and organize my creative ideas in different ways. And honestly, using the Notes app, if you have an iPhone or whatever note app you had, if you're on Android or whatever, is an incredible place to start, because this thing is always existing in your pocket. So if you have a creative idea in the moment when you're just living life, you're walking through a city and something inspires you, you could take out that app and write notes. I also do it on Google Docs. Just pull it out real fast, write it down before it escapes your brain so you don't have to remember it. And all of that is outsourced from your brain onto a digital medium that you can constantly revisit before you shoot, every time you shoot. So it's just an example of some of the lists that I have for YouTube videos and portraits and different ideas I have for filmmaking, highlighting things I've already done and highlighting things that I want to do and all that good stuff. So some fun and creative techniques I like to incorporate from time to time. I love doing a callback or a dream sequence on wedding films where I just kind of like reverse it all back and help them remember, like, okay, we're getting towards the end of the film, I'm going to recall the entire day. It's this really cool way to like have that climactic swell into a final resolution. So I'm just going to show you an example of that in Blakely and Matt's film, which started right here at sunrise at North Avenue Beach. Jesse shot video. I edited this one. Reading vows or notes outside of the wedding day. I did this with Mark and Molly in their film. I didn't feel super good about how the audio went on the wedding day. I had one source fail. I had Lav, but I wanted them to just redo it entirely in front of the fireplace at their cabin, which was super special. They did that, and I ended up using that audio exclusively. And I actually lined Mark's words up from in front of the fireplace to his lips in the actual scenery from the wedding day, which was super cool. And when you do that, you have that option. Excuse me. When you do that, you have that option to line those things up and do creative things. I did that in Nick and Christina's film as well, because they had a ceremony way before their wedding day because she thought her dad might pass before the actual wedding day. They got married in a Catholic church, and I used the vows from the later wedding date to lay over her lips. So let me just show you Mark and Molly's film where you can see and notice that the vows are in front of the fireplace. Molly, you are my best friend. You are a natural presence of kindness, light, hope, and home in my life. There are so many things that I want to say to you now, but as I write this, I'm struck by the fact that perhaps the best part of marrying you today is that we will now have a lifetime to edit, to add, and to resubmit these words to each other, day after day, year after year. Getting visual assets from clients. So I did that in Nick and Christina's as well, with like different artifacts around their apartment. But this wasn't a wedding film. It was more of a love story kind of film. This couple came to me and wanted me to make a film about their life in Chicago. They went to high school together and they grew up in the city, riding the train back and forth to see each other and going to school together on the north side, having come from Chinatown on the south side. Alan's dad passed away when he was a teenager, and they brought all these artifacts to me for this film with him and a photo of him, and they brought it into the studio, and we collaborated on this really beautiful voiceover that just shared their story and was poetic, and I refined this with them, and we filmed all around the city and in the studio with these artifacts, so check that out.
Everyone knows this story, but it bears repeating. The Lincoln Park High cafeteria and the awkward Subway sandwich interaction, only to cross each other again in our beloved Chinatown and subsequently fall for each other at the fair.
And so the relationship began, riding the red line rails through the city where it started and continued to start. Passing by, passing notes, passing time. Our Northside haven and the monument of our beginning. If distance made our hearts grow fonder, then they needed that strength for what was to come.
Losing Dad led me to rely on you. And fonder our hearts grew in mourning and reflecting on his legacy.
Whenever we visit our beloved Chinatown, his words are clear and true. That the world is equally shared, and I will share with everyone and you.
And so the story continued to be written. And where else would it have been better told than our beloved Chinatown on bended knee, asking for forever.
light through every darkness.
We will always be His as promised.
And now it's just you.
It's just you.
And me.
And me.
And forever ahead.
I already touched on this a bit with time lapse in Yosemite. You saw like the sunset over Half Dome, the sunrise over Half Dome at Glacier Point, as well as the time lapse that I used in at the reception, which was pretty cool as the sun set. And this was before I even knew how to use the time lapse setting on a camera. I just literally rolled it for like an hour and had all that data. There is on Canon cameras at least a time lapse setting where it takes pictures instead of you having to roll the video forever. What's funny is who inspired that, Casey Neistat, he did that in the way where he would always just roll the camera and he would time lapse it that way, because sometimes he would stop the time lapse and something funny would happen in the frame and he would let it roll. And he was willing to have that much data for rolling the camera that long just to maybe capture that one moment where like someone fell or something interesting happened. Anyway, time lapses are super cool to incorporate. Maybe the night sky as a transitional piece. Anything like that can be really cool. Using haze or fog, like haze in a can or a fog machine. You can find haze in a can. You should type in atmospheric aerosol into Amazon. You can find haze in a can. And I used this in Andy and Cassidy's film at the beginning and then bookended it at the end of the film with the haze in that same scene again, which was really cool. It was like it opened with it and it closed with it, and we got this little LED light behind them, and Steven and I shot together. Steven's behind the camera right now. Yeah, we opened it that way and closed it that way. We had that little LED panel like lighting them up from the back, so it was kind of backlit and just ripped haze all over the place. And I shot it at 120 frames a second to just make it feel like this really, really dreamy setting. Sometimes I use double exposures to make the imagery interesting, like in Ben and Emily's film where it becomes climactic and I had these individual shots of each of them, but I layered it together. So basically all I'm doing is just messing with the opacity of each frame, putting each at 50% and layering them on top of each other. So noticing that Ben was on the left side of the frame and Emily was on the right side of the frame, putting both at 50% opacity, you see them in both, but clearly see that it's two separate images coming together, which can be really symbolic and really cool and interesting as well. Using a tilt shift lens, during this whole section of Mark and Molly's film, I used a tilt shift while they were in this field, kind of distorting reality. Very visually interesting. But outside of these creative hacks, getting to know your clients more can result in absolute magic, in just things that you never would have thought of before. So this is where and I've shared this online already, I've shared it on a YouTube video, on Instagram posts, but Ben and Emily's wedding, we shot it in Chicago here first, but then we went out to Sedona because that was the first trip they ever took together while dating. And they said, I love you on that trip. And it's just an incredibly special place to them. They wanted us to come out, photograph them, film them out in Sedona. And we found out at the wedding, Mike was digging a bit, and he found out from one of his closest friends that Ben used to be like addicted to Diet Coke. And Emily was the one that kind of got him off of that fix. And this was something he was doing. He was drinking like a 20-ounce Diet Coke 2 times a day, every day. And she got him off of that kick. But that was like what he was drinking when they first started dating. And it was something that was like very reminiscent of the first days of when they were dating. And a lot of people were asking me like, you made that poor man relapse. But like, he didn't. It's fine. We brought Diet Cokes out when I did that moment where I do with a lot of couples where I'm like, I said, look out into the valley right now and think about the past 3 years and how that first trip led to this moment right now. And that alone would make anybody feel super emotional, right? We're playing Novo more in the background, And then Mike and I handed them Diet Cokes, and Ben just lost it. Like, if you can only imagine, like we talked about the using your senses, earlier in the course, like can you fathom like actually having that experience of tasting that same taste you always tasted when you first started dating her? Like, it's just crazy to think about how that would have felt. And he straight up told us that was one of the top 3 experiences of his life, was that moment, which is so mind-blowingly profound. And what's crazy is I barely even used it in the film. I used like 2 shots of it, and it was enough to like let them realize, oh yeah, we remember that moment, but not so much that a random viewer is like, what's that? It's just kind of just snuck in there. But the experience of it all, like how emotional it made them after that, because then it was just all of this insane embracing and tears and like, and it was in Blue Hour. It was just so vibey and amazing. It made the rest of the film just feel that much more powerful.
Thank you. Puppy.
We were told that's your favorite drink.
Oh, boy.
I haven't had one, dude, in 2 years.
Let's do it. You deserve it.
Oh.
Ready? Oh, damn.
Excuse you.
Bobby.
Take it in. Let's take it in. Let's enjoy. Get rid of the Coke if you don't want it, but.
Come here.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
It's okay.
Freaking bread.
To end this module, I want you to watch Tyler and Ellie's film from 4 years ago, shot in 2017. I already mentioned all of the Wes Anderson inspiration. I already mentioned all of the transition inspiration from Casey Neistat going one place to another. I already mentioned all the time-lapse stuff that I did. I already mentioned all of the creative, tactile things that I did, technical things that I did throughout. But I want you to watch this and look for even more nuance. Watching why I chose for them to go to one side of the frame to the other, or why I chose to do another time lapse another time of day. Where can you find that other time lapse? What do you think it took to get the shot we did at the end of the film at night? How did I overlay the look at Glacier Point after we did the first look? Okay, there's just all these different things moving in this film, and I want to pick this film for you to look at, because this is the one where I was going from what I believe to be medium to medium rare. Well, basically that point in my career where I was taking the next step to being something interesting, something that was different than everybody else. And I rented the 5D Mark IV to have autofocus for this wedding, and I got a gimbal to get stabilized footage. I made intentional changes to make this one look different because I knew it was going to be an epic story in an epic place. So watch it once, watch it twice, watch it 5 times, and take notes and notice the things that I did here. Now I do that, and I say that, I am asking you to do that so you can find that creative inspiration for yourself. Take notes on things that I did for that film, and maybe other films if you want to watch the other ones again. On my Vimeo page, you can find them on YouTube. Take diligent notes on those things and think about, okay, what are the things that I would like to try that he tried? And what would I like to do different? Or how would I like to take two different ideas and make them into one and make my own creative voice, leaning into what makes me different, right? It's the phrase, lean into what makes you different. I copycatted everybody else in different ways into my own creative voice, and I kept leaning into that creative voice, into what makes me different. All right? So go ahead and watch Tyler and Ellie, and I'll see you in the next module after that. All right, later.
I, Tyler, take you, Elizabeth, to be my wife.
I, Elizabeth, take you, Tyler, to be my husband.
Promise to be faithful to you.
In good times and in bad.
And in sickness and in health.
And to love you and honor you.
All the days of my life.
Been the pleasure of my life over the last several years to get to know you. We went up to Alaska and everything was epic, and it was. You loved it. It was just like a little kid in a candy store. To spend 5 minutes with Tyler is to feel like you know him. I'm very proud to call you my son.
It's beautiful. I love you too.
I cannot wait to watch the rest of your lives unfold. When I asked Tyler to tell me why he loves my sister, I couldn't have imagined a better response. He started with, "Oh my." We make each other better. She's independent, intelligent, focused, and humble. She might be the most caring person I've ever met. She's an absolute knockout and way out of my league.
I'm proud to stand here today to call you my Mrs. Ellie Walters. I cannot wait to start our future together, and what a great celebration to start our family here today. You've held a special place in my heart since the first day we met all those years ago. Your kind and gentle heart, your selfless demeanor, and everything you touch and hold, all of these qualities have led me to you and has led us here today.
When I first met you, I had no idea you would one day be my husband. You were the best surprise ever. Since then, you've opened up my world to laughter and joy and adventure. Thank you for wanting to spend the rest of your life with me.
Today I vow to you to always be your best friend, to make you laugh hysterically to the end of our days, to not only make the bed, but place the throw pillows just how you like them. I vow to stand up and fight for the things we love and hold dear. My convictions and promises go far beyond the words on this paper, so I vow to show and act them on a daily basis.
You've already made me a better person, Tyler Walters. You challenge me when I'm in the wrong, you encourage me in my dreams, and our relationship has taught me how to love like never before.